Oh, guys, I'm reeling. I am still reeling from last week's episode. So, Melanie is Mr. Wilford? Who else knows? That's my question. Who else knows? The engineers do, because they work with her. But are the brakemen aware? I doubt anyone in the other classes, in the lower classes, knows, because that will obviously mess with the so called balance that she's always preaching. But wow, 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 just wow. Also, there's something these people in power always saying engine eternal, engine eternal. What exactly powers this train? For it to be going around the planet for 6 years and counting, what exactly powers it? Because there's a lot going on in this train, a whole lot going on. And that was one way to start a season. We are in for a ride. The more they steal from us, the more human we become. Humanity will fill our bellies one day when we eat the rich of Snowpiercer, 1001 cars long. Alright, I think I'm calm now. For the rebellion that happened in the last episode, punishment has to be rendered. And punishment on Snowpiercer entails the freezing and shattering of an arm. The brakemen wanted to do this to a child. Before this could happen, her mother steps in and takes the punishment in her stead. Is this how bad it's gotten? Is this how bad? That you do something as cruel, something this cruel to a child? It's really not looking good for this train. We see Andre's friends, the ones he told to wait up train, being placed in the drawers as what I'd assume are rights being read to them, but then we've already established that those mean nothing on this train. Next, we see Melanie with the full brunt of the engineers as they're working on the train, working on keeping the train running, where she gives out orders, ignoring completely what the engineers are advising her. Even though Layton has agreed to help them, they're still keeping him in a cell, like a prisoner. And it's the next day, I'm assuming, they begin the investigation. They first get to talk to the person who found the body, and he explains where he found it, what he was doing. During that, the brakeman has lunch of noodles and beef. Continue with the investigation. They head to the night car, sort of like a club or lounge, where Layton meets Audrey. Audrey explains that when Nikki was apprehended and placed in the drawers, it was very quick, because what they wanted was a quick resolution, and nothing about it seemed right. Layton asks what was Melanie's role back then, to which Audrey responds that's a very important question. He also gets to talk to Zara. Zara also explains that they're not telling him, both of his people are not telling him everything. During the autopsy of the body of the man who was killed, and upon examination, they found that pieces of the body had been cut up in a very weird way with different types of knives, which leads Layton to an assumption. An assumption, because he's a detective, that only one person would have the tools to do this. That person would be the butcher. To follow this lead, they head to the cattle car. As they make their way there, the train is passing through a dangerous stretch of track. An avalanche descends upon it, and it is breached. Everyone and everything in that car is instantly frozen solid. To fix this, the speed of the train will have to be reduced, which means cutting power to certain parts of the train. Thus, water will not flow until the breach is sealed. The water they have left in the reservoirs is barely sufficient to sustain the entire train. And what does Melanie decide to do? Instead of rationing the plants, the crops, she decides to ration water to the people, giving the second and the third class 15 minutes of running water, and the tail none. Layton is sent back to his cell. There he draws a map, one he intends to give to the workers taken from the tail. As they're being led back to the tail, Layton escapes from his cell and creates a distraction, such that during the commotion, they can get hold of the map that he left in the hallway. Melanie, hearing this, comes to talk to Layton, where a very heated interaction happens, where she presses once more that it is Mr. Wilford's order that is keeping them alive. Not hope, not fate, not anything else, but the order. Layton responds, I guess that's why the train needs informants, like Sean Weiss, the man who was killed. Because that's the only reason why they would be so interested about a murder in Third. Because they want to know, when he was tortured, what Wilford's secrets did he spill? Melanie rebuttals. To this Andre responds, you've got killers, cannibals, and I don't know what up here. Do not lecture me about balance. We found ours years ago. As a kind of nail to the coffin, Melanie says, perceptive, very perceptive. I guess that's why Mr. Wilford chose you as trained detective. But remember, that is the only reason you're still alive.